Hi, I'm Alison Sepanera.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're the hosts of the Anxiety Chicks podcast, where we dive deep into the reality of anxiety, nutrition, and mental health.
Listen as we explore all things anxiety healing while keeping it real, including our own struggles with mental health.
We'll bring our expertise as healing professionals to the conversation while discussing the tools and strategies you need to heal the anxious mind.
Listen to the Anxiety Chicks on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Anxiety Chicks podcast. I'm Alison Sepanera.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're
today,
so excited to be here.
We're just so excited, guys. But today we are doing our August Q&A episode. Allison, did you have a few words before we started that? I was just ready to jump on in.
That's why I usually have my words of wisdom that I mean, most of the times we've been jumping in at this point, actually. I just wanted to mention to everybody that's watching on YouTube, you might see that my face looks really bright right now. Even though I still don't have makeup on. I'm sorry, I don't really wear makeup at all because it's not good for my rosacea. But my face might look brighter because I just got a whole new setup with some really good lighting. And I got a new ring light and I got a couple new things. And I just feel like my face looks very bright and the picture quality hopefully looks a little bit better. I am going to get an updated camera. We're going to work on, the pixelations of our faces and everything. But I just think so far the lighting looks really good. So I just wanted to, sound off in the comments or let me know on YouTube if you feel like I look a little bit more brighter
beautiful
today.
Oh no, I lost you for a second. Okay,
Hello?
there you are. Okay, anyways, now that we've talked about how beautiful Alison is, we're going to jump into our August Q&A. I think I almost said September. August Q&A. Wait, no. August or September? August.
August, girl.
I'm everywhere.
Summer's not over yet.
I know.
My gosh.
Okay. So basically, if you are new here, we like to do the Q&A episodes every month. They are our little give back to the community of maybe a question you've been really struggling with and wanting answers from just two chicks struggling with anxiety just like you who have maybe some words of wisdom to share on the question. So we have 7 today. We are going to try and get to every single one, but the first one will be, how do you handle scary or unwanted thoughts that feel not like you? And not like you is in air quotes. And then we're going to discuss tools to tone vagus nerve. What are your current go-to coping tools for anxiety that actually help? Should I get another therapist as backup? Have you ever grieved the old you, also in air quotes, before anxiety took over? How and what do you do to help during the wait for test results to avoid the spiral? Ooh, this one will be good for me. And then the last one will be, what helped you the most when you were grieving the loss of your dad? My dad passed away in January. So with that being started, I'm going to start with the first question, which is, how do you handle scary or unwanted thoughts that feel, air quote, not like you? And I found this question so powerful, and I'm sure Alison will have some words to say about this, but I can think of so many times where for me, this is more of derealization, just not feeling like myself. And when anxiety is really in fight or flight for me. And what's funny is Alison and I were talking before we got on the podcast, and I've been struggling just with this annoying right side headache that has a few triggers, and I've tried to not let it fully take over myself and not letting my health anxiety spiral and being more in control of it, which I can tell you right now, I've come a long way with my health anxiety because how I'm approaching this situation right now versus how I would have approached it maybe 10 years ago is night and day. But I do feel like I still have those moments, and I think it's normal for anybody, even people who don't struggle with health anxiety, before a big appointment like meeting with a neurologist to discuss something you're actually feeling. You can go into a little bit of that fight or flight or maybe tunnel vision focus where you kind of don't feel like yourself because all you can think about is that appointment ahead, say the day before or something. I remember I had my initial consultation on Monday with the neurologist, and on Sunday I just really did not feel like myself. I felt kind of just ready to get it over with. I just wanted to be in the appointment. You just have this feeling of I'm not in my body a little bit. I wasn't anxious, feeling my heart racing or anything, but just not myself. How I handle that or those thoughts that start to come in of like, what if it's bad news? What if this? What if that? Is literally grounding myself and using all of the grounding techniques that I've learned about and I've tried, but also building on those grounding techniques over time, even if you're not struggling with these in the moment. So, say you're not going through something really hard right now, practicing grounding tools and techniques that you know you can go to when these times happen. So, for like the past, I would say, month or two, I've really dove into just finding a type of yoga. I think I always thought of yoga as like a soul vinyasa flow and like more fast-paced yoga, which for me is not a grounding thing. It's a beautiful form of yoga, but for me, I actually gave surrender yin, or more of a slow restorative yoga, a try. And I was shocked by how grounding it was. You're not going to get a workout. Don't expect a workout, but just practicing those tools of grounding and this slow form yoga where I'm really deep belly breathing. I'm slowing my thoughts down. I'm going to a place of here, still, in this moment. In this moment, I don't have to worry about that appointment tomorrow, because in this moment, I am only in this moment. And I think perfecting those tools, I don't like the word perfecting actually, practicing those tools over the last 2 months has really set me up to where on Sunday I was actually in my parents' backyard. I was looking around as like, oh, I'm so blessed to be in their backyard that has such a nice pool and such a beautiful view that I can sit here and breathe and just be here and be still. I might not get a lot done today. I might not technically feel like myself, but I can bring myself to I am here, I'm safe, and in this moment, I'm okay. And also just like utilizing all the tools that help my anxiety, which I will be talking about in my second question. But those are just ways I handle the moments I don't feel like myself, is bringing myself back to reality. I mean, even like getting in the mirror, looking at yourself, this sounds silly, but being like, I am here. You are here. Like touching your face like this, touching your face like this, holding your chest, looking in the mirror and like doing this. It sounds silly, but it really helps you ground yourself. So, Alison, do you have anything that you do when you feel not like yourself?
Yeah, everything you were saying is so spot on for someone who is just learning these things, right? Like you're learning what works for you. And
Mhm.
that's actually the whole process of creating a toolkit and learning how to regulate your nervous system. And when it comes to, healing in general, figuring out what works for you, and you're learning more about different types of yoga, right? Or you thought this is the type.
Which, which for the longest time, funny enough, it's funny how we go through phases of life, but for the longest time, I was like, yoga just isn't for me. I was like,
Mhm.
it's not for me. It's not going to work. I feel like my mind is racing even more. And I want to encourage everybody, if you feel that way too, if you're like meditation, yoga, breath work, I feel more anxious. I think I talked about this last week too. In the beginning, you literally might feel like, why am I attracting myself to these anxious thoughts? I don't want to do this. I feel worse. But your brain is just confused, I think, at first with slowing down. And the more I gave into the practice, the more these tools are actually very useful for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's sort of why I am really proud of you, because I think people try something like yoga once and there's so many different forms of it, and they're either like, no, that's not for me. What? No, that's not my thing. When, first of all, it should be everybody's thing, because the reason why someone is resistant to it is because it's uncomfortable for them. And the whole point of it is to sit with discomfort. So that's why you should be doing it. And if you can't do it because your mind's racing so much, then you need to talk to your therapist more often. Okay. And figure out those cognitive tools to really rewire your brain. Okay. Because yoga, and this is research based, this is like a lot of yoga has been around for hundreds and thousands of years. Like it is maybe not called yoga, but it was a lot of the poses and the postures and the way it connects the breath with the body. I mean, there's a reason why it is so regulating. So, yoga is, I've been talking about it for years on this podcast of how it's one of the number one tools in my toolkit because of that purpose. I never found a yoga studio like the one I have gone to for the last like 10 years now, 5, 10 years since I've been living where I am, because I've never found one like it before. It was the first yoga studio I'd ever been to that actually the mission was about spirituality And not in, again, we talked about spirituality in the other episode, not because it's any kind of like religion or faith or anything. It's just connecting the breath with the body in a spiritual way, something that is outside of you that grounds you. And it also is about community. So the studio really brings people together. So it's such an amazing, and that is what brings me back. And it's called Yoga Home because it makes people feel like they're at home, right? So it is, that's the name of the studio. So it brings me home. It brings me back to my body. It brings me back to home. It grounds me. And just going and stepping into the studio does that before I even start the class. So I think, getting into our second question, which basically is tools to calm the vagus nerve or to raise vagal tone, right? And for anyone that doesn't really know what the vagus nerve is, it's basically called the wandering nerve. So, because it's the longest nerve that goes from your brain stem all throughout your body and all throughout your autonomic nervous system. So, if that's dysregulated, if your vagus nerve is dysregulated, then your entire body is going to be in a very, very fight or flight sympathetic state. So you want to do exercises that do something called increasing vagal tone. Because if you have high vagal tone, that means that your body is more balanced. If you have low vagal tone, that means you're more in a sympathetic state. Because sympathetic is the fight or flight, parasympathetic is rest and digest. Research shows that, which is interesting, like light to moderate massages, quote unquote, on areas of the body near the vagus nerve can actually increase vagal tone and slow the heart rate. So I'm going to tell you a couple things that can help, quote unquote, massage the areas of the body that are near the vagus nerve. Okay. So one is, I'm not talking about massaging like fingers, on your shoulders. It's more about just like when you think of a massage on your muscles, it really like helps loosen them, right? It helps kind of like really relax your muscles if you actually are at a massage. In this term of talking about vagus nerve, these exercises are going to help really release the tense intensity of the vagus nerve. Okay. So one is cold exposure. Okay. So cold exposure is huge. You really want to, I'm not talking about like doing cold plunges. You don't have to like start and go to a cold plunge for 10 minutes. Like I haven't even tried one yet. I kind of want to, but I don't know if I ever want to. It's fine. But I'm talking about like going in the shower and for the last like 10 seconds of your shower, like put it on cold for a little bit. Or did the light just go off? Shoot. I have to plug my light in. Sorry, guys. Or like people that live in like cold temperatures, like go outside and breathe in the cold air, right? Go outside for a couple minutes or however long you can and get some of that cold air. Put some ice water in a bowl and put your face in the ice water. All of those things can really help increase vagal tone. Breath work. Any type of breath work. Slow, deep breathing can stimulate your vagus nerve. Practice slowing down your breath, by try and like take 6 breaths over the course of a minute. Like breathe in for 4, breathe out for 6. Try and take 6 of them. Don't rush yourself, but try and like work through a minute or two of taking 6 breaths. Okay. Try and always make sure the exhalation is longer than the inhalation. All right. And you're doing it from your diaphragm. So the belly breathing that Taylor was talking about before. Meditation is huge for increasing vagal tone. Something that might be surprising to you, singing, humming, chanting, or gargling. So this is interesting. The vagus nerve is actually connected to muscles in the back of your throat, right? So doing activities that engage the vocal cords, like singing, humming, chanting, gargling, they're all going to activate the vagus nerve in a really good way, in a really like calming way. So one easy technique you might want to try is to inhale deeply. And then as you exhale, make a and like feel the vibration travel down your throat. So sometimes I will do that actually when I know I'm getting really anxious or panicky. And I'll just do this humming sound and it really, really works. It's crazy. And then, like I was talking about before, like actually massaging the vagus nerve does work as well. So like actually massaging like the back of your neck or, like if you think about it's the back of your neck is where the vagus nerve starts, but also like right behind your ears, that part of your neck can really be healing and really helpful to increasing vagal tone. And then also like your feet hold a lot of nerve endings. So doing that with your feet. So this was kind of a long-winded question, but I wanted to make sure I gave you all the tips. And they're also in the Anxiety Healers Guide workbook. And the Anxiety Healer's Guide. I have way more vagus nerve tools in there. If you guys, that'll be in the show notes if you guys want to buy that. But those are just some of the major ones that I think can help.
Okay, well, as I massage my vagus nerve, if you're on video, you're watching. While we're talking about that, my next question is, what are your current go-to coping tools for anxiety that actually help? Right now, with all I've been going through, here's the things I utilize. I wake up in the morning. I have the Oura Ring. I've always talked about the Oura Ring. In the Oura Ring, I know Alison loves Insight Timer. In the Oura Ring, they actually collaborate with a lot of the different apps. So like Insight Timer, I use Insight Timer too when I have like a specific meditation I want to do. Because the thing with Insight Timer is you can actually go on there and like literally type in any topic and there's a meditation for it. But the thing with the Oura Ring is I can actually go in and find a meditation, like it pulls from Headspace, all these different apps. And when you do the meditation, it kind of shows you that you're relaxing. I like to see that data. Like that actually, like that biofeedback to my brain is really good. So it like tracks your body temperature while you're meditating. And when your body temperature rises, that's a sign of your body relaxing. So it's kind of cool to see like, oh, this was my body temperature before I started and this is it now. I like that data. That's really beneficial for me. So in the morning, I've been starting with a meditation and I do it outside, laying back on my porch, looking at the sun, not looking at the sun directly. Obviously, don't do that. But I do this thing. I have this neck thing I lay on, which actually could maybe be stimulating my vagus nerve too. But you can find it on Amazon. It's this thing and it like helps relax your neck. And I do literally like an 8-minute meditation just to start my day. I make my bed. So I am a coffee drinker. Alison is not. I started doing electrolytes and lemon water and doing all my morning routine before drinking coffee. I think that it has been beneficial. I've already noticed a difference. Every morning I make my bed. Every morning I literally focus on myself and my mental health and physical health before I touch anything. I'm not doing any work. I used to be the type of girl who just got up in the morning and I felt I was my most productive in the morning, so I would jump directly into work. And I realized that's not good for our nervous system. So I do that. That's like kind of just like the first part of my day. And I think electrolytes have been huge for me just with overall how I feel. So definitely get you some electrolytes. What else? I take CBD every morning and night. I also, to like not think about my headaches like while I'm dealing with them, I have this little stick and it's honestly just nice if you struggle with anxiety. It's called a migraine stick, but it's just peppermint and something else, and you just roll it on your temples, and like truly something about it, even just that cooling feeling of like icy hot, distracts your brain. It's just good for me. I also have the worst allergies lately, and just having this like old boss inhaler thing, something about it just like I feel at ease, okay? I don't know what it is, but if you have a little routine and a little thing of these things that help you, they just help. And I would say that's just some of the stuff. I've been meditating morning and night, going to Surrender Yin. If you go to Lifetime Fitness, you kind of know the Surrender Yin offering classes. Those are definitely something that's just slow and going to actually reset you versus going and doing like a workout. Because sometimes I've learned my nervous system is set up way more chaotic than a lot of people. And that's okay. Like that's how I'm wired. But adding in like the HIIT workouts or always doing something high intensity isn't going to be good for that type of nervous system. So if you're anything like me, you don't have to go to the gym and have a full on sweat. It doesn't always have to be like that. You can go and you can do slow movement and it's still good for your body. So those are some of the stuff I've been doing. What else? Oh, I sit outside every single night and watch the sunset. Literally every single night from 7:30 to 8:45, I will be outside. I don't care what I'm doing. I will find a way to get outside and watch that dang sunset because it's peaceful for me. And I also switched out the lamps in my bedroom where I can put them on this like amber color. And it's just so much more relaxing on the eyes. It gets you ready to tell your body it's time getting ready for bed. And I don't know. I think those are all some really good things. I do an Epsom salt bath most nights of the week, just like 10 to 15 minutes. And yeah, those are my anxiety kit tools for when I feel anxiety just kind of rising in my body.
That's a great toolkit so far. I
Yeah. I
love
feel like I
that.
have other stuff of like little things like randomly
Uh-huh.
sticking this stuff in my nose. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's nice. It's peppermint oil, whatever.
Yeah. Peppermint is in my toolkit
Aromatherapy
too.
blend.
Yeah, peppermint's actually been something that has been a huge part of my healing journey for like 10 years at this point.
So helpful.
It is also for anyone who struggles with like nausea when they're
Hmm.
anxious or stomach upset. Peppermint is so great to help kind of release a lot of that, bring you back to the moment, but it really helps with nausea. So sometimes I'll just like smell it if I'm feeling nauseous or anxious. It really, really helps. But I love that. That's a great toolkit so far, and I'm sure it's going to help lots of people. And if people want more information on some of the stuff you mentioned, can they like DM you or?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And my toolkit is literally always changing. I mean, I do random things. Like, I recently got into blue light glasses and night glasses, just always trying out new stuff. One thing about me is I'm a trier outer. I'll try anything. But I've learned over the years of trying things out, you have to give things time. And that's huge. I think a lot of people give up on things too soon. And I think you just have to give it time. Let it flow. Let it figure itself out.
Yeah, so true. And just remember too, when it comes to creating your toolkit, which you can do with the Anxiety Healer's Guide if you haven't started yet, is reminding yourself that these tangible items are awesome, right? And a lot of actual like physical things are going to be so helpful, but you have to remember that a big part of the process for healing anxiety and helping your mental health is a brain exercise. So you're going to have to constantly work on shifting the way that you think about things. So cognitive work is going to be really, really important in this process throughout your entire life, honestly, is to really creating new neural pathways. So that's why like cognitive behavioral therapy or any types of therapy or coaching or work that you do that helps really rewire your brain is going to be like the main component of what really changes things, along with all of those other awesome,
I
awesome things.
forgot I forgot
And
to say
movement.
therapy.
It's okay. And movement and like support systems, they're all important too. So it's just kind of, and for a lot of people, medication. That's also part of their toolkit. So it's just sort of reminding yourself that you shouldn't be depending on just one thing every time you're like, oh my God, I'm scared. I'm anxious. I'm worried. Let me go do this. And then it's going to take it away. Like, that's not what the goal is. So I love that. Okay. Let's get to my next question, which is actually interesting, which I actually love because since we're talking a little bit about therapy, should I get another therapist as a backup? So I'm thinking this person is asking like should I research other therapists in case my therapist either goes on like maternity leave, like say it's a woman, I go on maternity leave, or has a family issue, or has to do or something, or isn't practicing for a little while, is retiring for a little bit, I don't know, all this stuff, right? Should I have a backup if your therapist that has helped you so much just can't do sessions anymore? And the fact of the matter is there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. Like, you can technically see two therapists at the same time if you want to, although that is really not going to be helpful for you because you're going to get two different modalities and two different people kind of giving you different perspectives, even though you're looking for some help. So I wouldn't recommend it at the same time. But I would say that I have personally had probably like 8 to 10 different therapists throughout my life, depending on the life season and life cycle that I'm in. So, like, when I was in my relationship for like 2.5 years and I've been dating and stuff, I knew I wanted to see a therapist that was a family therapist and a couples therapist who understood relationships, understood anxious attachment and couples. So I sought out someone who really had an expertise at that, because at that point in my life I really needed help with like learning more about my anxious attachment style, and the fact that I was dating someone and I was having this intrusive thoughts and fear of abandonment and all of this stuff while I was actually doing this whole dating thing, which I haven't done in a while, of getting back into it, so I might need to reach out to her again. But at that point in my life, it really helped me. That's really what I knew I needed help with. So we broke up. and she was still really helpful through a lot of things. And then she went on maternity leave. So when she went on maternity leave, I sort of was in the depths of my grief with my dad dying. And it actually was okay. I thought to myself, you know what? Of course, you're going on maternity leave. You're having a baby. Like, I'm not holding it against you, but I knew I wanted to see someone still. I wanted to go somewhere that focused on grief and the death of a parent, because that is really what I knew was in my heart tearing me up. So I sought out a support group that was specifically for people who had lost a parent, like adults that have lost a parent, because that's what I really needed to work on at that point. And I did. And I went to a support group. And then I found a therapist who I was at a really hard part of my life, like last year. And I wanted a therapist who specialized in women that are getting older and going through certain things in their 40s and understanding that. And I found someone. So my point is, for all phases in your life, there might be a different clinician that might be more helpful for you. And it's okay. So I don't know if I'd call that a backup, but I think it's okay not to just see this one person for the rest of your life. You can. I think that's totally fine if they help you. I plan on going to therapy for the rest of my life. I think, the goal of a therapist really what they probably say to you is like, my goal is for you not to come and see me anymore, right? My goal is for you not to need me anymore. But the truth is, I think the paradigm of therapy is changing so much where it's actually a tool in people's toolkits. So like, why would you just say, okay, I went, now I'm done. Now when life hands you adversity all the time, like, I plan on going to therapy for the rest of my life because it's a tool for me. Whether it's the same person I'm with now, probably not. I'll probably change when my life stages change. But I think it's just something that you should do and have in your toolkit. So have your backups. Why not? That would be my advice.
I like that. I also think that that's why a lot of people fail when they go to start therapy is they don't like this last therapist that I am currently connected with. I was straight up with her and I asked her like, hey, listen up, Krista. I got health anxiety. Have you ever seen a patient like me? And here is who I am. And how do you feel comfortable working with someone like me? Do you feel like you and I can groove and jive, right? Like, I asked her those things. I was just like, here's who I am. Like, not every therapist is going to be able to work with everybody, and that's okay. Like, I was perfectly fine with her emailing me back and being like, yeah, we're not going to work. I've never worked with that. I don't really have expertise in it. I don't feel comfortable working in it. And I had one lady who was like, I have the perfect person for you. When I said that, like, she was able to say, here's who you need. And by doing that, I feel like you set yourself up for success because this person has seen people like you, because there is somebody like you out there who has had a therapist that worked for them. And sometimes you just have to be literally straight up about who you are, not like, oh, this person's really good with trauma, right? Like, there might be a therapist who someone's like, oh, Susan downtown is such a good therapist. She's so amazing. And you go to Susan and you feel so sad because you don't feel like Susan is helping you. Susan might be the best trauma therapist out there, but that's not what you need in this season of life. And so I feel like just like really advocating for yourself. And a lot of therapists give you those 15-minute consults to where you can really see if like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I struggle with. How comfortable do you feel? And I think a lot of therapists are very honest that they feel they can take you or not. And so that kind of weeds things out and really helps you. And like Alison said, there's a therapist for every type of thing you're going through, just because I like what you said too, how I do feel like a lot of therapists say, my goal is for you to graduate from me. And it's like, okay, maybe graduate from you to like another season of life, but seasons of life come with really hard things, like all seasons of life. Like, we are not guaranteed bliss. Like, things can get better in life, but there's always going to be something that we need to talk to someone about, especially if you're not one to make things about you and your family or life. You need to talk to somebody else. So that's my little spiel.
Yeah, I love that. I think that, yeah, I think just be open to it and what you can do to kind of weed out what maybe you're not looking for and what you're looking for. Yeah, can really help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who's next? Are you next?
Yes. Have
Okay.
you ever grieved the old you, air quotes, before anxiety took over? And I find this question so interesting because you hear that a lot from people. I just want to feel like me again. I just want to be me again. And I remember when I was like in the depth of anxiety, I felt like I did go through a process of grieving who I was. It wasn't until I saw the other side or the light at the end of the tunnel that I saw the blessings and all the good that is to come after going through things like that. I feel everybody on this earth will go through something in life. This is the card I was dealt, and it doesn't have to be a disaster. It doesn't have to be a mourning of my old life forever. I find so much beauty in the things and the person that I am now. I feel like I developed a lot of qualities I didn't have before going through anxiety. And so I think it's okay to grieve the old you, but also be grateful and open arms to all the growth and strength that you gain from the card you're dealt, because I don't know anybody that wasn't dealt some type of card in life. Like, I've never met someone whose life is just so perfect that they've never seen a hard day or go through something in life. And you might be sitting back struggling with panic attacks or something and saying like, dude, I would take any other card. But it takes like 2 seconds to get on TikTok and be like, God, there's this 21-year-old girl who has to get chemo for the rest of her life, and it's the only way she's going to stay alive. And you see something like that, and you're like, my panic attacks on the real scale and scope of this earth, yes, they suck, and struggling with anxiety sucks, and I hate that I had to go through this, but there's also gratefulness that there's things I'm not going through. I have a house. I have so many things in my life to be grateful for. And I don't know. I think it's a perspective thing. Do you know what I'm talking about, Alison? How, like, do you know anybody that has never gone through anything hard in life?
I mean, of course not. Of
Like,
course not. Yeah, I
so,
mean, that's just unrealistic, you know? Yeah. It's just no. There's
but
always going to be
it's
something.
okay to grieve an old you. It's okay to miss things and think about life before you had to like worry about a lot. And maybe if you are finding yourself worrying about so much and feeling like you might be missing old you because you're still needing to work on a lot to get through anxiety controlling your whole day. And I feel like once you get to the point where you don't see anxiety controlling your whole day, you'll be you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel more. I totally get being in the darkest of anxiety and not being able to see that, and also at that point feeling like your life is over. I get that. If you're at that point, I sympathize with you, and I was there, but there is another side, and
Yeah.
there's good
And
days
I
ahead.
think, yeah, I think there's also a way to like love a new version of yourself without having to deny parts of you that are still there. I mean, you're going to change throughout your life. Like, that's just what happens. I hope you do, actually. I don't think anyone should stay stagnant ever throughout their entire life. I think everyone should be open to evolving and changing and working on things within themselves, because why? Like, how you evolve as a human, and that's how you reach like an enlightened part of yourself. So I think it's really important to do that, and at the same time validating that maybe there's certain feelings coming up for you that make you feel like, well, I don't know who I am right now in this season of my life, but that's okay. You're going to figure that out. It doesn't mean that everything goes away about you, but you know, there's always room for evolving. That's what I think. All right, let's get through. You're done with your questions, right?
Hmm.
Okay, let's get through these last two pretty quickly because I know we've been talking for like a while. So, how or what do you do to help during the wait for test results to avoid the spiral? So, everyone probably knows, well, maybe not everyone if you haven't been following me the last like month, that I just had a scare with a mammogram that came back abnormal, and I had like less than like 24 hours to 2 days where I was spiraling before I had an ultrasound that I had to do. But that I was very, very lucky because I got into an exam very early. But a lot of people that have been in my DMs I've been talking to sometimes have to wait a week, 2 weeks, a month to get into a testing facility where they can actually see what's going on, to get an MRI or to get, I mean, speaking of MRI, Taylor, you just were on the phone trying to get one. So, and waiting a long time to get an ultrasound or whatever. And that waiting period is probably like the worst for anyone, especially if you have anxiety. like spiraling and waiting, and your brain is just saying, what if this, what if this, what if this, what are you going to do? I mean, I was crying like every other hour thinking that I had cancer and I was going to die. And I
You
remember,
probably already planned the reaction of a doctor giving you that news of your what was going on in your brain. Probably was like, I have cancer, and you could probably play out exactly the doctor telling you it, and that's all that was probably processing through your brain.
I mean, yeah, that was, I didn't even get to that far. I didn't even get to that point because I was just like, I'm gonna die. What am I gonna do? Do I want to have treatment or not? Like I was planning if I wanted to get treatment or not. And I was like, maybe I don't want to get treatment because that's gonna put me, but I was literally planning how I was gonna like
Yeah.
get through having cancer when I didn't even know
Yeah.
anything yet. And I remember going into the table where they were doing my ultrasound. It was so scary. My sister came with me, but I had to go into this thing on my own. And I was just like, oh my God, what is the next step? And I just remember looking up and being like, talking to my dad, my late father, and the next question's about grief. So talk about that. But my dad, who will have passed 3 years in a couple weeks. And so I just remember thinking to myself, I've lived a really good life. I've been really, really fortunate to have a loving family, and I I feel like I've been really fortunate to have parts of my life that were fun, and I've been loved, I've loved, I have great people. I just remember I played this in my head. It's like I've lived a good life. I think I would be okay if it ended now. Like how morbid. And I told my sister that, and she's like, "Oh my God, Allie." Now my sister's sort of like,
But hang on, wait, I actually just had a different perspective. I heard you say that and I was like, wow, what peace you have.
well, I was trying something because if it were me 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have been like literally having
At
a
the
panic
ER.
attack, put me in a straitjacket. So a lot of for the last like 2 days, this
Allison, you
person
make
that
me laugh.
asked this question,
Ma'am, just straight jacket right now.
I mean, literally, my point is, whoever asked this question, it's like I really had to have a conversation with myself who was very scared. And I really just talked to myself like I would have someone, a little kid who was really scared of something. And I just remember thinking, you know what? You you have survived a lot of things, and like right now you're here, you'll be okay, and you really have had so many things that you've been successful in and people you've loved in your life. Like that's just fact. So, and my sister is like your husband, where I told her that, she's like, why, what are you talking about? You're thinking about that on the nothing, you're okay, and I'm just like, I don't know, these are the things that like come to my head, and you just don't know. And so I think if you
Did
can
you do the
somehow,
episode yet on all this?
no, not
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So yeah, so we'll get into it more there.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you can surround yourself with support, that people that are safe for you, if you have to wait a lot, and have them ground you. And then you were talking about grounding techniques a lot earlier. So anything that makes you feel nurtured in these moments when you're waiting is what you need to do. So what brings you back to when you felt really safe as a kid? Like, did you like someone who made you a grilled cheese and you just watched your favorite shows? Did you curl up in a blanket and like just watch a movie or make some tea? Or did you bake? Did you make a cake, or did you do something else? Did you, just going outside and just like laying in the grass make you feel good? I mean, honestly, tap into that inner kid part of you that is scared and figure out what that part of you needs as you're waiting, because you really are just in this fight or flight scared moment, and you need to go back to this place when you're just like, I need a little nurturing. I need a lot of nurturing, but I also need to remember, like, right now I'm like a kid. I'm a scared kid right now, and I need to treat myself with kindness and patience. I need to give myself hugs. I need someone to give me a hug, and just breathe and practice breathing, meditate during the waiting period, go be with people, go to community yoga classes, go to the gym, go live your life. Don't just be paralyzed, and just know that your brain is making up things because you don't know yet. And your brain is really making up stories. You have to just ground yourself. So that would be my suggestion for that. It's not that it's not gonna go away, but it's just the waiting. It's the
Yeah.
worst. All right. So last thing, this has been a long Q&A. Sorry guys, but these were really good questions. Okay. What helped you the most when you were grieving the loss of your dad? My dad passed in January. So, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad and the loss. January, it's August now. And let me just tell you, January was not that, it's not been that long that your father has passed. So, the grief, I'm sure, is still very raw. You know, people watching or listening might think, well, my gosh, that was like a while ago. No. Okay, you guys, grief has no timeline. Matter of fact, I know people that have lost someone they loved 20 years ago, and it's like it was yesterday. Okay. So there's no timeline on grief, and you just have to really be patient with yourself. You have to, if there's any support groups in the area, I know people have different like opinions or like resistance to some support groups. But if there is one thing that you can challenge yourself to do, it's to get involved in a support group of adults who have lost parents. There is one bereavement center in the Philadelphia area, that's where I went, that had specific group where it was like life changing for me once a week for like 6 weeks, I think, called the Center for Loss and Bereavement in Skip Pack. So if anyone wants more information about that in the Philly area, definitely DM me and try and just challenge yourself to be vulnerable. All of everybody that was there, all literally, I felt like they were family within 20 minutes because they all literally knew exactly how I was feeling and what I was going through. And they all lost a parent and they all had different relationships with their parents. And we all are very close. We're all still very much connected to each other. And this was like 2 years ago. And then I'd also just really remind yourself that if you're not ready to, you know, see pictures or like listen to songs or like have these memories come up, if you're not ready to go there yet, give yourself some time and slowly expose yourself to it. So like, there was times when I couldn't look at any pictures of my dad for months. I couldn't hear songs that I knew about, like from him. There were like, it's hard for me to still watch videos. I do every now and then, but it's still hard for me to watch videos. So I haven't gone to that place yet, but slowly and surely I started looking at pictures. I started putting pictures up in my apartment. I started talking more about him and talking about like my memories of him. And what I found out was I found this whole box of pictures that was in my mom's storage unit that I had never seen before of my dad when he was little and up until like, you know, 1990s when he was like in his prime and like 2000s. And I started remembering who my dad was before he was sick and before he got to that place. And I had forgotten about him. I had forgotten about that man who was so vivacious and awesome and like loved dancing. And like, that's really who he was, not the guy that I saw who was sick for a year and a half. And that really fucks with your brain because if you are someone who's been a caretaker who has seen someone slowly decline, that is like very traumatic. And so seeing these pictures and remembering him the way I remembered him actually really helped me. Now I remember, like I changed my brain. Now when I think of him, I don't think of him in that place anymore. I actually look at these pictures and remember him as the way he was. So that actually was really, really helpful for me too. So those are just a couple things. I'll be talking more about grief on my page, and I have a membership site coming up and rolling out and launching in the end of the year. So stay tuned for that. And I'll be sharing a lot more about this on that site. So just God bless you all if you've lost someone. Totally feel ya.
You've been, I think we talk in old episodes if people want to go listen, just like before your dad died, how I remember you just being like, I don't think I'll be able to handle it. And then we talk about the episodes where you do talk about grief and when you're going through it and how you always continued to show up. And I always tell you that because I'm so proud of you. And if you're listening to this and you've lost a parent or your parent's getting sick, really go revisit those episodes. Alison shares so much good information and just her mindset. And I don't know, you handled it all with such grace for so long and you still do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to our 45-minute Q&A episode. Usually they're like bam, 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 but hey, you know, we wanted to
7
get
questions today. Look at us.
I know, exactly. We love you guys. Please rate and review, subscribe to us. Please leave some comments in our YouTube page. We would love it. Leave some reviews on Apple, you know, all of the jazz. Follow us on Instagram. And we love you guys. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
We hope this episode reminded you that you're not alone and healing is always possible.
If something we shared helped you, the best way to support the show is to leave a review or share this episode with a friend who needs it.
And make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Anxiety Chicks for more support between episodes.
We're just two chicks on our own healing journeys, cheering you on every step of the way.
Until next time,
take a deep breath. You've got this.